everybody, welcome to another edition of Toddster's Magical Mystery Review. I'm your host Toddster, and today we're going to take a look at John Lennon and Yoko Ono's Double Fantasy. Yes, came out 17th of November 1980 on Geffen Records. And this is John's first album in 5 years. Sort of like his comeback album, or at least it was supposed to be. So prior to this album, John took 5 years off to help raise his second son, Sean, and during the spring of 1980, John took a holiday to Bermuda, and during that trip, there was a tidal wave on a boat that he was sailing, and he was in command, taking over the ship, and during while the waves were out of control and all that, and all of a sudden all the songs that his musical mind came back to him after a while, and then he wrote a whole bunch of songs during his trip, and so was Yoko back in New York, and not only that, he also heard the B-52's Rock Lobster in a club somewhere in Bermuda, and he recognized the Yoko-esque feel of that song, and that's when he and Yoko decided to make an album, and so they brought together with Jack Douglas as a producer, and he previously worked with him on previous albums and all that, and they made this album throughout this summer and into the fall, and shortly after making this album, they immediately were in the middle of making a second album, and they were planning on doing a world tour, and planning to go back to England and have John see Aunt Mimi, and have her meet Sean, but then of course came December 8th, 1980, and the dream is over, and so yeah. But anyway, let's take a look at the songs. Now, to be honest, I was not really looking forward to listening to this album because, well, there's some Yoko. Well, half of it is Yoko songs, and me, I cannot stand Yoko singing and all that. But I'm gonna talk about John's contribution to this album. So bear with me. At least it's not gonna be like sometime in New York City. I know. I look forward to all comments from all Yoko lovers and all that, but here we go. So we start off with the lead-off single of the album, Just Like Starting Over, and John always referred to this song as his Elvis Orbison song, sort of like locked it, we took the time, and sort of like a nod to all those 50s doo-wop records, and it's a lovely song as it is. I love it. And then his next song is Clean Up Time, a song about John's house husband period, probably his weakest song on the album. And then I'm Losing You. John wrote this, while trying to get hold of Yoko, on trying to call her up, but but yeah, similar to what he'd written, for, could have been, this could have been on, Walls and Bridges or Mind Games, or one of his albums during his Lost period, Lost weekend. Yeah, it's another great highlight. And then we go into Beautiful Boy, written specially for his son Sean, and but it makes one person sad to hear some of the lyrics, especially in the middle eight. I could hardly wait to see you come of age, but I guess we both just have to be patient, and cause John wouldn't live to see his son grow up and all that, but yet it features that famous lyric, life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans, and and it's another lovely song. And then we go into side 2, Watching the Wheels, another song that's about his house husband period, and it's an okay song, and then we go into, in my opinion, the best song of the album, and that's Woman. Yeah, and John always regarded it as like a grown-up sequel to Girl back in the Rubber Soul album, and yet John whispers for the other half of the sky in the period, which is a Chinese proverb used by Chairman Mao. So I guess you might say John was carrying his picture by this time. And then we go into his last song on the album, Dear Yoko, another song written especially for Yoko, but with a little Buddy Holly twist in it, even after all these years. It's another average song, but anyway, so that's John's songs of this album. So yeah, so what to say? Well, some of these songs are his best for a very long time. I think had he made a full album of just his songs, and have Yoko do an album, do a separate album of her songs and all that, but had he made a full album of his songs, it could have been a better album, to be honest. So as far as my rating, well, as a full, I'm gonna give this 2.5 songs, but just for John's songs, just for John's contribution, I'm gonna give this 3.5. Yeah, so 3.5 of Double Fantasy by John. Yeah, so my name is Toddster, and you just watched another Magical Mystery review, and we'll see you next time. Until then, toodaloo.